Good morning. This is Rick Gleason, and I'm with my co host, Don King, and we're coming to you from the University of Washington and from the Region 10 OSHA Training Center, covering Washington, Alaska, Oregon, and Idaho. And we have a special guest today that both Don and I first heard about 5 months ago at the Puget Sound Safety Summit in Seattle, Washington. He was one of our guest speakers. So, Don, can you tell us a little bit about our speaker today?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
Just want to welcome you. We're very pleased today to have the privilege of having a gentleman by the name of Bill Sims with us, who is the author of Green Beans and Ice Cream, which he will speak about. But I think what I'm going to do is have Bill introduce himself a little bit and give us some of his background to get started here.
Well, hey guys, I appreciate a chance to chat with you this morning. It's a lovely it's Seattle weather here in South Carolina. We got 45 degrees and rain and overcast, so you guys would be right at home. But yeah, I guess to explain it in a nutshell, I've spent about 30 years building positive reinforcement systems at more than 1,000 companies. DuPont is a client, Coca-Cola, Disney, Siemens Video, and most of those, much of that work has been developing systems to change safety, quality, productivity behaviors. So it's been a fun ride. After 30 years of doing that, it dawned on me, I probably need to write some of this stuff down somewhere that I've learned, and that was kind of the inspiration for the book, a part of it. And so Green Beans and Ice Cream is, the idea behind it is that we are really, really good in business, and as parents, usually with our kids, we're good at this too. We're very good at telling people what they did wrong, but we're not so good telling them what they did right. And Mom figured it out one day when she said, "Son, if you eat your green beans, you can have ice cream," right? And so it's when we focus on the positive in other people that they blossom and grow. And sadly, so often we don't do that. Surveys indicate better than 70% of American workers have never heard the words "thank you" from their boss. So Green Beans and Ice Cream, the remarkable power of positive reinforcement, the book, the workshops, everything we do is really oriented around helping leaders to understand what positive reinforcement is and is not, and how they then strategically begin to use it to be better leaders.
That's great, Bill. And I remember you saying that asking us as a group if we thought the paycheck was part of a compliment or positive reinforcement. And could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. That's one of the things I like to do when I speak is to kind of find out what the audience knows about positive reinforcement, right? And it's kind of scary when I get the 10 or 20 top leaders of any company in the room and ask them what is positive reinforcement. What I find is that they don't know the answer to the question correctly, and the answer they give me, typically they're going to disagree with each other. And so the way I get at that is I ask the question, which I did there with you guys in Seattle at the event we did, is a paycheck positive reinforcement for the average worker? And I give three possible answers to that question, right? I said you could give me no, you could say it's not, you could say yes it is, and you could say maybe it kind of depends on the person. Some people would rather go fishing than come to work, right? And what happens when I count the hands in the room, on average, if I get 10 people that I'm presenting to, I'm going to have 2 of them that say, yeah, a paycheck is positive reinforcement. I'm going to have 4 of them that say, no, it's not. And I'm going to have a good 4 out of that 10 that are going to say, I really can't make up my mind. You know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Like we said, some people rather go fishing than come to work. So when I have that survey completed, and it did the exact same thing, if you recall there when I was with y'all, the group was all over the map. You know, some of them thought it was positive reinforcement, some thought a paycheck wasn't, some weren't sure. I said, guys, with all due respect, y'all got a problem here. I mean, you people disagree on the answer to my question. If you can't agree whether something as simple as an everyday paycheck is positive reinforcement, I said, you can't move forward. How can you execute on a strategy to deliver positive reinforcement if you can't define it as a team? You got to be on the same page, right? So, you know, now I kind of got my first little aha moment. I stepped on everybody's toes a little bit, but I said before I leave this room here in Seattle, I want to get everybody on the same page so you guys all have the same definition. And to do that, I answer my own question. The answer to the question, is a paycheck positive reinforcement for you and every person on the planet? Is absolutely yes. Mm-hmm. A paycheck is positive reinforcement for one and only one behavior, getting you to show up at work every day. Now, if you doubt that, if anybody doesn't believe me, I got a little experiment we can do. It's where we take away your paycheck and I stand by your desk and count how many days you keep coming to work.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
So let me go a step further, though, to complete the thought. If I, talking to the two of you guys, if I ask the question now, is a paycheck positive reinforcement for the behavior of coming to work, what would y'all say?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. But now the next question is, does a paycheck by itself guarantee you'll give me voluntary effort in the moment of choice for safety, quality, production, customer service, whatever? What would you say now?
No.
No. For that, you see, it takes positive reinforcement, coaching, and leadership from your entire leadership team. And the problem is, you might be the very best positive reinforcement coach and leader in the world, but it's not about you. It's about your worst supervisor at 3 a.m. who frequently says this: he ought to do that. That's what he's getting paid to do. See, that's wrong. He doesn't get paid. He gets paid to show up. When you get beyond that, depends on your ability to be a positive reinforcement coach and leader. And that's really what we talk about is transforming leaders from managers or supervisors into positive reinforcement coaches and leaders. Okay, so I wanted to complete that because if we didn't add that piece to it, I think people would be wondering. So there you go.
Thanks, Bill. That's great. So tell us about your experience with the Prince.
Yeah. People, this is kind of funny. You travel the world and you do have some things that are Forrest Gump moments, and this is one of my Forrest Gump moments. So I get a call maybe about 10 years ago, and I'd been doing a little bit with green beans and ice cream. Hadn't written the book. I was doing some presentations, for various groups, and phone calls from this guy says, "Hey, Bill, this is Dr. Jitu Patel from the American Society of Safety Engineers in Saudi Arabia. I heard you speak. You actually heard me at an ASSE event in Seattle, right? And he says, I want you to come and do green beans and ice cream in Saudi Arabia." And I went, the American what? I didn't know we had an American anything in Saudi Arabia, but guess what? They got more than 1,000 members. They've been there 25 years. They're the largest chapter of ASSE on the planet, right? And so I was a little nervous about going over there, but I'm so glad I did. I made some lifelong friends and met some really good people over there. But when I stood up to speak to about 1,200 people, they're all wearing that that flight robe, the Arab dish dash is the name of the robe. And one guy comes over to me, and he's wearing a blue robe. He's the only guy with a blue robe. So we shake hands, and he says a bunch of words in Arabic. I have no clue what he said. So after he leaves, I lean over to Jitu. I said, "Hey, Jitu, who's the dude in the blue robe?" "Oh, Bill, this is great honor. You just shook hands with the Prince of Bahrain." So I get real excited, man. I pull out my phone, and I call my daughters Daphne and Carly back in South Carolina. I say, "Hey, girl, guess what? Daddy just shook hands with the Prince." "Well, what did he sing, Daddy?"
Exactly. Very good.
Yep.
So, Bill, what do you think that you and your business could do in our little community here in Seattle to keep us from continuing to injure people in the workplace?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think a couple of things to say, to talk a little bit about how we approach safety behaviors. And our approach is really built along the idea that, not the idea, the fact that the number one thing people need at work to give their very best is their boss to look them in the eye and say, "Hey, man, here's what you did right, here's why it matters, and how that made a difference." And 75% of American workers never have that moment, right? So
Right.
we're all about helping our clients change it from 75% of the people never get that to 98% of them get it a couple times a month from a peer or a boss, right, a leader. So it is strategically using positive reinforcement to change behavior.
Okay, Bill. So what we gathered here from what you're going to be able to present is they start, if they have the book, is number one, to get involved, and then there's a workshop available, and then smart card. So
yeah, and I wanted to go ahead and quickly pick up our approach to safety behaviors, and for that I think it's probably best to just start with SeaWorld. They were warned in 2006, "Hey, the whale has killed 2 people, get him out of the show." Senior leadership refused to do that. He was the star performer. They rehearsed for the fatality 1,000 times till they got it right and killed Dawn Broncho. She was the 3rd victim. So, the question is it possible your listeners have some employees out there rehearsing for injury, taking shortcuts, not following procedures? Sure it is. Every company has people that take shortcuts that rehearse for injury. So business is behavior. To change results, you got to change behavior. Your mission is to stop people from rehearsing for the next injury. Now, I'm looking at a modified version of the Heinrich pyramid that I built. And I think we'd all agree that SeaWorld managed safety at the fatality level after the 3rd fatality. Now the $3 million handrail went in. Where do we want to manage safety? Down at the base of that pyramid, below it, at the at-risk behavior level. Where do most people manage safety? Smack dab in the middle. They're counting recordable injuries and lost workday cases. They don't have a reliable tool to measure what's happening at the bottom of the pyramid. Well, that's part of what we do. We help companies focus on management and worker at-risk behaviors, turn those around, change them, and what that does, it helps us get, in many cases, 50 to 60% injury reductions without injury hiding, right? So that's a little bit of our approach. There's a whole lot more available. There's actually a video free that people can check out at www.allaboutbehaviorchange.com, where I get into more depth and detail on all these topics.
Well, Bill, wow, that is excellent, and it's been great having you as a guest today. And again, we're coming from you from the University of Washington here in Seattle. And I would just like to remind you all to not put yourself in the line of fire and watch out for each other as if it was your own flesh and blood. And Dawn, how about yourself? Just a few closing comments?
Well, again, I want to thank Bill as you did, Rick. What he had to say is really golden pearls, and we all need to continue on that. And I think Mark Twain probably said it best when he said, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. So, with that being said, Bill, we're going to wish you a good weekend, and we'll be signing off now. And aloha to all of you.
Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy being with you, and may life bring you lots of ice cream.
Thank you,
Thank you
Bill.
so much, Bill. Alrighty.
Hands with danger, meet a guy you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety, now they call me Three-Finger Joe. I was young and feisty, never did things by the book. Just let me get my toolbox and I'll take myself a look. I climbed up on the dozer with my mechanic's pride. Said, you can keep it running, friend, while I poke around inside. Shake hands with danger, meet a guy you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety, now they call me Three-Finger Joe. Though I learned a lesson, I forgot it soon enough. The nicks and burns and scratches showed the young ones I was tough. Till another morning, I was grinding on some steel. My other hand